the Christian Gonzalez situation, that there hasn't been a setback. I think the bullet points there, no setback. Mm-hmm. There is no ill will between any of the parties, and there's just frustration over the injury itself that it isn't to a point where he's playing right now.
Yeah, and I don't think that that's frustration at anybody. I just think it's frustration in general that it hasn't come along faster. And I made this point, which, I think, we're at the point now where IR would have been in play, not at the end of July, but at the beginning of September. So obviously this has been slow going and getting here. And again, I don't think there's any ill will, but I think everybody's frustrated that it's taken this long because that wasn't the expectation. And I think the no setback part of it, that's what makes it frustrating. It's there's nothing you can point at and say this is why.
It's just not getting better on the timeline they expected it to.
Right.
Does he play this weekend?
I think so. Here's the other issue. And this is something I said on Sunday, which I said all this stuff on Sunday and it didn't get picked up the same way it did on Monday. But the other thing is the position he plays. And I think people have to realize that it's a lot harder to play somebody part-time at that position than it is, say, a receiver or a D lineman where there's normal rotation. You generally don't rotate corners. You're either in or you're out. And especially an outside corner, it's to accommodate that you would have to move some things around. So there's that part of it. There's also the physical demands of the position. I would say, of all of the positions on the field, if you've got a hamstring injury, it's probably the one where you're at the most risk for re-injury because you have to react. And there's a lot of there's just a lot of cutting and change of direction and all of that, which I think would make it a lot easier to re-injure something like this.
Is he going to be on a pitch count, you think?
See, that's what I'm saying.
That's hard for me to.
I'm saying,
how do you do it?
Yeah.
Right.
So would they wait? Would they wait and say, "Listen, if he comes back this week, he's not capable of playing every snap. So we wait another week and we play him against Buffalo, and he's ready to go in a week."
Right, and I think that becomes the question: is like last week, do we get the other guys ready to go? Do we get the other guys ready to play and to start and give them all of the reps? Or do we go part-time, and then are you cutting off your nose to spite your face because there's a backup who needs all the reps and needs all the work to be ready to play, so he's not at his best, but you also don't have Gonzalez at his best. You know what I mean? It's different than, again, on the D-line, you're over the course of the game, everyone's playing, Backup corners generally, your fourth, your fifth corner generally isn't playing a whole lot.
Right.
617-779-0985. We've got Breer with us. We've been talking about Gonzalez all week and about the possibility of Gonzalez making his return this weekend. His comments make it sound like he's back. Vrabel's comments make it sound like he's back, which is why if he doesn't play, I think you start to get to a point where you're like, well, if not now, when?
Right.
Is another week really going to be the difference between not playing at all and playing every down and having a full week? And so I think these are all the questions that will happen. I just think you got to get him out there now after another week of not playing, and now the way they've answered those questions.
Yeah.
He's got to make an appearance.
I put it this way. I don't think you talk the way those two are talking right now.
Right.
On a Wednesday, if the plan is for him not to play. I don't think you're talking the way that they did.
So you think it was truly Mike's decision last week to hold him out? Mike said he said I made the decision to give him
Yeah, I think part of that is Mike's protect the team thing.
Yeah.
Do I think it's natural that a guy would protect himself in this position when you're in your third year and you've already been all pro, second team all pro? It's human nature. And this is, by the way, the owners signed up for this. All the owners, when they made the rules, the way that they made the rules, and they made it so you can't pay a guy before the end of year 3, they created a finish line for these guys. And so for most of these guys, I think any of them, there could be some that are a little bit more willing to sacrifice than others, but I think if you're any of these guys, it's human nature to see that's the finish line there.
Yeah.
If I'm going to re-injure myself, like they're not going to show sympathy for me. And you don't think people around them are telling them that? You know what I mean?
They
like,
should be. That's their job.
That's their
because
job.
This is a league that never protects their players or the players' interests, and it's the league that always abuses them and wants them to play through injury and wants them to play.
And they're the first ones to kick them out the door when they're not of use to them anymore.
Yeah. So, no, this is what the league is. I mean, you say the owners created this with the way that they structured it. You can't pay him until after year 3. I would just say in general, even if he wasn't at a point where he was a rookie on a rookie deal, if this were a veteran who had a situation coming up contract-wise, let's say he was going into free agency, I don't think it's approached any differently. And that's just the league.
And I think
players should look out for themselves.
And if players are looking out for themselves, it also like kind of creates an interesting dynamic for the offseason where it's like, all right, like if we don't pay him, what version of him are we getting in his 4th year? Is he going to be completely protecting himself at that point? You know? So again, like this is what the owner signed up for.
I said the other day,
like it's an environment where those guys got to take every penny they can when they can still get it.
I said the other day, I think Gonzalez has the Patriots by the balls.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I think
agree.
he does. And
you don't have enough you don't have enough players who even have an ability to get to an elite level, and he's one.
Yeah. And all he has to do is show up and finish the season and then go to the off season and say, fork it over.
Yep.
Let's go. And that's interesting that you bring up, what does year 4 look like if we don't pay him?
Right.
Yeah, you should be asking that question with any player. What does that year look like if you don't pay up for the elite talent? No, I don't. There's the idea that he could be traded at some point, or could be forced to play it out, and the team not pay him. I think those are all bad options. The best option for them is he gets back out there, he plays and finishes the season and plays at the same elite level, and then they hand him a bundle of cash.
Yep. And this
$30+ million a year.
And this was what's kind of interesting about the whole thing is, do you know who was on the executive committee at the NFLPA when that rule was negotiated?
I do not.
Mike Vrabel.
Oh, that's great.
He was one of the 12 players. I think it was 12 players.
What year was that?
2011.
Okay.
He was on the executive committee. Now, he left at the very end to go coach at Ohio State because he had retired, but he was still serving on the executive committee, so he was part of the negotiating team on that.
Funny how that works, going from player rep to now management in the NFL as a head coach.
My, how the turntables have turned.
Other news today, Bert. The Pats are selling off a piece of the team. Were you surprised to read that they were so soon to jump on the opportunity?
I think they're all going to – I think to some degree they're all doing this. Now, the Eagles sold 10%, 5% or 10% right around the Super Bowl. Or maybe it was more recent than that. But and they were very – it's interesting because you want to look at the structure of these. How much of it's private equity involvement? And I know – so Bill Chisholm is a private equity guy, right? So the Eagles, when they sold off, when Jeffrey Lurie sold off pieces, they were very aggressive in getting word out there. This is not private equity. These are families that want to buy pieces of the team. So the involvement of private equity is the one thing that you have to just kind of have your radar up for, because if private equity is buying into these teams, what are they looking for? They're looking for a return. Yeah. And so in a lot of cases, if private equity, and they don't have, that's why they limit the number, right? Like, how much can private equity buy? I think the highest amount is 10% or something like that by the rules that they voted through. But is this somebody who is really interested in the well-being of the team? Or is it somebody who is coming in because these things keep going up in value and wants return on his investment? And at the same time, if you're an owner and you're selling off a piece of the team, are you thinking it's not going to rise at the rate that it has been, the valuation? So we should probably sell off some of it now, liquidate some of it now, so we can get an influx of cash.
To the
And
tune
also,
of,
you know, the other thing that's interesting about
wait,
this,
but to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars.
720.
$720 million dollars
so
will be the income there.
He paid $350 for the team.
I know
No, he
this
paid
one.
172.
172.
Paid 172.
So the Raiders, this is like sort of an interesting piece of it too. We've talked about what the Raiders did, right? Bringing in Michael Meldman and Egan Durbin, and then Tom Wagner, who is Brady's business partner. Well, part of the reason the Raiders did that was to manage the estate taxes, and I wonder if that's a piece of it too, like where, you know, like for a lot of these teams, the valuations have gotten to a point where, what are the estate taxes going to look like? And is it going to be debilitating for a family to hold on to a team? So that's the other thing, is like Robert could be doing this in part to help Jonathan, like, and his other three sons with the estate taxes, which are going to be obviously significant.
And not for
Because if you
the
only
fact that it's $720 million coming in.
that's part of it, but if you only own 90% of the team
Sure.
versus 100% of the team,
That's less.
Yeah.
It's 8% less is what it ends up being. So, what do they do with the money? What's the team going to do with the money? Sources say it's going to be in the team accounts. It's not like they're withdrawing it.
Yeah.
Where do they spend it? Do they spend it in free agency? Does that mean that that's where it's going? Maybe. They're paying off the lighthouse bill, paying off the new football facility bill. What are we doing?
Don't
Paying
turn
down
lights
some
off.
debts? What do we got going on down there?
Yeah. So it's 8%.
8% total.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
Chisholm's? What? How
So
much?
Chisholm is not involved. Sixth Street is the investment firm
Which
that
is
also
his.
went in with him.
They
with the own a
Celtics.
piece of the Celtics.
Okay,
They are
so
not
he
him,
does,
though.
because I heard you guys on the. I think I heard. You
Louth,
guys,
Louth comes in charging in here saying, "Oh, that's Chisholm's company." No, it isn't.
Okay.
They
'Cause I heard
also
you guys
bought a
say
piece
that.
of
like-
the Celtics. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
They're getting 3%, 5%'s going to another guy.
but like, if it's just strictly an investment, then you got to understand, like, there's a piece of this that company is not coming in here to for nice seats. You know what I mean? They're coming in here for a return on their investment.
So you think they're going to want a seat at the table to have a say in
It's
things?
just, I wouldn't say it's like they're not going to be sitting in there and saying, like, okay, like, you need to hire this coach or you need to sign this. That's not it. It's, what are your business practices and what does the business look like? And am I going to be like, because all of that's about exiting eventually, right? Like, and these teams have proven to be great investments. So, like, those companies are generally going to be looking for a return on their investment.